Hello, my battalion and viewers. I'm the Knight of Arcane, and with the release of Drawtectives Season 3, I wanted to try something out. Partially inspired by a video that Nathan Long and Rebecca Roney did, though not as a collab, where I wanted to draw some OCs that would, or could maybe, fit in Drawtectives. There are parts of some of them I would change, but I do like a lot of what I came up with. So, let's take a look at them, shall we? So, to start, one of the ideas I came up with was doing a goblin monk. To be exact, a Way of the Drunken Fist goblin monk. It was like the first idea I got and worked on, and I decided to make her a little chubby, because I just thought that would look really good. I named her Mai Tide in reference to like the drink, the Mai Tais. No real reason. It just like it came to my mind. Like, let's do it. I went with like short hair. I don't know. I just liked how it looked. And while at first it was just going to be like normal drunken fist, have like a gourd on the back, I did come up with the idea of also having her be a bit of a stoner. Later on, I'll give her like some, weed. Hopefully I still get monetized because I'm mentioning it. Granted, I already mentioned drunk and alcohol, so who knows. And while the leg pose wasn't that hard, it was like the arms and hands. I was like, how I wanted to do it. Part of the reason why also we changed it to a weed, because I did try doing a staff, but it just didn't really work. Plus, then there was just so much. Yeah. And then also with her outfit, I wanted to first try like the kimono thing where it's like one sleeve is on, one is like not on. But though it was kind of hard to do, I then later on just changed it to be like a jacket doing the same thing, which works a little more because we're in that, nebulous, it's fantasy, but also modern because they have, animatronics, roving trains that eat people up in the north, and video games like VR. So, kind of doing that, like, sort of trying to do a mix of modern and fantasy. So she has, like, a jacket, she has more poofy pants, and she has like bandages on her feet and hands like monks do. I almost did the bandages also on like the top, which I think should still work, but I want to do something a little bit more modern. And since it took a while to do this, it came to me about what if I gave her like a beanie, and which works with the very much stoner weed look, but also it just looks really good together. It's weird a little bit that I still give her the bandana, but well, it's it's still fantasies, trying to do whatever. The gourd was a little hard to figure out how to do, but like the feet were also hard, but like they look good, they work. There was probably a few parts of the hair and face that also were trying to figure out to go good. Yeah, like I tried a few different ideas with the staff, but I wasn't liking them, and then it just felt too cluttered. Like it was just too much. The colors were also a little hard. I tried a lot of different stuff, and eventually landed on this like off blue green color, and then also using like some reds. Like I feel like I've seen this somewhere, but I just don't remember where off the top of my head. And then like I just did like a greenish, darker greenish color for the hair first, and then I decided also like add a half of it to be blue, which I like and it looks really good. And for the shading, at least on like the skin for sure. Remember, I used like a red color for the shading, which I think looks really good with the green. I do try to be consistent with the shading styles on all of them, but it doesn't always happen, especially with some parts. But yeah, and then try to make the background look very similar to like the ones in the previews. But yeah, this is my tide, the goblin monk that is technically a stoner. I guess I should have also said backstory stuff during the actual thing. I'll remember that for the next one. So I don't know, she kind of goes with the flow, almost druid hippie like. I assume that she's probably works at some sort of martial arts and became a detective because I think I'm going to say she got lost and that's how it happened. I'll figure out something more with these people in the future, I think. But let's go on to our next one. Iris Strahd. The part of her name comes from Lestrade from like Holmes. And Iris, I mean, we could partially comes from like Great Ace Attorney, which has Sherlock Holmes stuff in it, and there's Iris. It's probably a little bit of that, and also just like it fits. But the idea with her was to make a forensic wizard. While like forensics probably would make more sense with like the alchemist and as you know an artificer, but I went with wizard because you know magic. Wizards are more common and stuff, and it's an actual class that makes sense. There was a lot of, I guess, I had a lot of problems trying to get mainly the face right. Getting like the eyes and like just the size correct a little bit, also with the hair. Sometimes I feel like I'm good at figuring that stuff out, sometimes I'm not. I do also remember I wanted to try to do plaid at one point, like you know Holmes, but don't later on, multitude of reasons. And I tried a lot of different eye shapes I think could and can work. I just needed to like probably tweak them a bit. And with the staff, while it does look like a street lamp, part of the lore I have for it though is that it's kind of like one of those like lights they use in crime scenes to find like blood and other stuff. So like the light can change to help them find whatever clue they're trying to look for at the time. I guess it's also kind of like the Predator's like mask, how it's able to change into like infrared or heat and all that. But yeah, my idea with her is like she's kind of, what's the word? Is ditzy the word? I don't think it is, but a little aloft. I think that's the best description. A little aloft, like yeah, she probably has a little bit of knowledge and knowing what is going on, but once you get to like an actual like crime scene, that's when she'll be focused and all. Yeah, and she's an elf because I don't know, just to fit with the magic part. I don't know if it'd be full or half. I don't think it would really matter. Maybe it could be like a mystery lore thing or whatever. Figure out in that. Aloft when it's like not really much going on, but once you get to the crime scene and the crimes, then she's like all in, like let's figure this stuff out. I think I was partially inspired by like Emma Skye with this. Kind of fair. And I definitely tried a lot of different things. I wanted to try almost kind of like a jacket like Holmes, and like kind of have bits of that. Try to do a vest, which I think you can kind of, it's technically still underneath it, but also gave her like a jacket, which in a way then becomes kind of like a fantasy, like forensic lab coat. That's it, like a fantasy lab coat in a way. And of course still gave her a hat because you know wizard. And I try a lot of different colors. I would settle then in the end on blue, on this kind of like off-white, almost blue color, like a lab coat sort of thing, with like red and purple for like the other stuff. which was then pointed out that it kind of almost looks very similar to Theron, which, fair. I wasn't looking at her when I did this, but looking back, I can see that, especially with like the colors. And while it's not like the same white that is used for her hair, the fact that it's still this very platinum blonde, like a very light color, yeah. And then also use like dark shading around like the face. I don't know if it helps with the aloofness, but I think it looks good, works on this. I think by the time I was putting like the stripes on the skirt, I was like, oh yeah, I remembered the idea of doing like the plaid and didn't really want to do it on the other stuff. So I just went with stripes, which with it being on purple reminds me of like Jinx's pants in Arcane, which I still need to see season 2 of. And then also made her leggings be striped. With like, I used like a mix of hard and soft brushes in it, which I think still works. I think like she's probably like some sort of a noble or rich kid that had like a weird fascination, interest in like dead bodies and stuff. Like, she's not a necromancer. Maybe like she is like a necromancer, but she wants to find out the crime through like investigation first before he does like actually talk to the dead person. Because yeah, it was like mentioned by I think either Nerd or Kingpin, you know, why don't like necromancers just, you know, make people alive again and be like, hey, who killed you? And like, if in like a fantasy detective thing like this. But I think she does it for the mystery. So maybe she's actually like extremely powerful, but no one can tell. Yeah, that'd be funny. That's a good idea. But yeah, that's Iris Strahd. So let's move on. I knew I wanted someone that would be very like tall, big, sort of muscular. You know, the muscle, like York, but smarter. Or like somewhat smarter. I mean, York is pretty smart in some cases, but like in like I guess a different kind of smart. And I kind of wanted her to be a bit more serious, which is then funny because when I was like actually figuring out her name, it kind of like, yeah, it's still a little serious, but I wanted to do a fighter, and I kind of wanted to make him be a samurai. I don't know, I just wanted to do something like that. She is like the most normal actual fantasy, which could be part of the joke. But I decided to call her Samantha Rai, or Sam Rai. Like, samurai. And the idea is she works at like a deli. She works at like a themed samurai deli, where like the sword people are like swish, 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 and cut their sandwiches in the air for people with their swords. I very much went in a very Ace Attorney naming convention with this. And I also wanted to make her a tiefling for no real reason. I just wanted to make a tiefling. I did try like a smaller ponytail, which looking back, even though we're probably past it by this point, still probably could have worked, but I did go a little bigger in the end. If I did redraw her, I'd probably actually go with the shorter ponytail, because it is looking really good. Just wasn't at the moments, if I'm re-looking multiple times. And I went with putting like robes over samurai, you know, chest plate armor, and then some armor on the shoulders, and did give her like shorts, yoga shorts pretty much, and leggings, some sort of weird leggings that don't maybe entirely make sense. I almost put like a lot more of bandages, straps on her, but I only went with some on the feet. And I tried different horn ideas, and I got to one I liked. And like the hair was also a little bit hard, and I decided to give her like an eye patch just because. Maybe she's like she seems like she's like edgy and all, and she kind of is, but maybe she's like also like secretly Heart of Gold sort of thing. I gave a scarf for no reason except for like saw some sort of D&D reference where it was mainly just with like the robes, but I decided that I like the idea of it as like the scarf. Like she is probably the most fantasy of them all. Like My Tide is I think a very good mix. Iris Strahd is kind of that, at the very least I would say, like you know, very much like how Great Ace Attorney looks. A little bit also with Ace Attorney, depending on the character. And our last one is very, very modern. But Sam, very, very fantasy. I also I started with like a pink color, which I think maybe still could have worked. But I also just could not get the hair to work good. I tried green, I tried a darker black color. I do like the sort of off-white color I had for a moment, and then this orangish color, and then this other color we're last on. It's okay, but and also if you see a little green thing going on, it's I tried the technique that's the starfish face uses, and I still have to figure it out, especially with how I do art. I tend to do them all on separate layers, no matter what, while she tends to do it all on one layer, so it probably is the reason why it didn't really work as well for me. It was for those little bits that I didn't get filled in with the fill bucket tool. Yeah. There's also like small little purple half circle pattern thing that I put on like the bottom of the sleeves and the kimono. That looks cool. I should have also put some sort of detail on the scarf. I did put suns on the shoulders, and I was going to put a sun on the chest of the kimono, and then I forgot. Oh well. I do also like how the eye patch has like another eye on it. I tried something else at one point, but then I just decided to do like almost like kind of like a cat's eye, almost like a gem. Maybe it is a gem. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's not even missing an eye. Maybe she's just edgy like that. I do think that also she looks a little bit probably ninja-like, so maybe she's like a fighter rogue multi-class. But yeah, I like the lore I came up with, Samurai. The idea of her being like working at a deli, and then just like, I don't know, maybe a crime happened, or no wait, we can like she had to like cater like the police investigation. I'm basing this random lore thing off of a Drawfee speed paint, and technically Drago lore. Like she had to go over and cater an investigation, and then she like actually figured out or noticed some clues, so then she got hired on to be a detective or work on that, or at least muscle. I don't know. But yeah, she has good parts, but I still would change. But let's see our final OC. Our last OC is Rock Z, spelled RAAK-ZEE. It's partially being phonetic. But she is half orc. The idea is that she's from the Western tribes. At one point, I was like thinking of having like the fighter, when I was planning to have the fighter samurai be part of like the Eastern be a half orc from like the Eastern tribes. But I decided in the end I wanted to do like a cool punk rock bard, and I wanted to do it with the half orc. I don't know, just thought that would be cool. I think she was probably the easiest, and she's kind of honestly my favorite. Like the ears were probably the hardest thing overall to design, because how do I want to, because also it makes me think, how do I want to design orc ears going on? Like elf ears, have a good idea. Tiefling, it's more or less the same as the elf ones, but still. But she was kind of the easiest. I don't know entirely why. And like, yeah, she's a little on the more of a thinner side than like, you know, we can say like probably most orcs and like York. So maybe like she's like a little bit also partially half elf. Who knows? Posing was a little hard, but more so in trying to figure out the guitar much later on, because I wanted to give her a guitar that looked like an axe, so like have that position with like the hand, and then also figuring out how the strap would work on her body. And then outfit, I wanted to do something kind of comfy, casual, but you know, you'd still say is very modern. And so I went with like kind of a sweater over probably like some sort of bra where you can definitely see the straps, and gave her like the punk rock spiked collar that I love giving characters, let's not lie, because I am an edgy beach. And then just the hair, just wanted something short. I guess it's kind of, I don't know if that's the pixie, I think the pixie bob is a little like shorter than this, but you know, a short hair bob sort of thing. And I randomly decided, let's put this little strand of hair up on top, and I loved how that worked. And then I just did like sort of ripped shorts, kind of on the short end. The shorts are definitely inspired like by like Polly shorts in Monster Prom, and then gave her like some leggings with like, those aren't leggings. I gave her socks that are very high, and then also have like very bunched at the bottom near like the shoe, which is like a very long punk shoe. Maybe she has stuff hidden in those socks. At what point I think I was going to have her be a rogue, but then I was still planning, but I went with Bard, and I like that. I feel like she gives me very Nobara from Jujutsu Kaisen and Momo from from the Dan vibes, which the Dan is really good. You should check that out. And colors were easy. You know, just the green and then a darker green for the hair, and then decide like, let's have red tips for the hair using my favorite brush, charcoal brush. I tried like a tan jacket and sweater color, which was okay, but then I decided, let's try red, which fits really well with like the green. I'm not great at using color theory, so I know for a fact that using green and red is an actually good idea, and need to work on my color theory probably a little bit. Shading also went with like the red I did with my Tide. I don't know, I think it just looks kind of cool with on the green skin. I did use that tan on like the socks, and then use like a darker tan on like the guitar. And then for the guitars, shading was on the charcoal brush. Kind of like what I also did with like the gourd for my Tide. And I probably did the most like shading with her hair than most of the others. And probably most of the others also, but oh well. I like the shading I did with her the most, and might be stuff I'm going to try to figure out for future. I don't know how well it would be great if I want to get a lot of stuff done quickly, but oh well. And then also use the, I think it was a shorter faded black or faded like dark gray color, and then lower the opacity to make the stripes in the socks. But yeah, that's Rock Z. The idea, I think, for her joining Drawtectives is like, I think the idea is like she wants to be a rock star, and she's like, where can I get some inspiration for songs? And then she maybe she heard about like the Prince of the Northern Tribes being like a detective, and she's like, I'm sure to get like ideas from like dead people and stuff like that, and that's how she joined. Maybe it's not like super great that's how she joined. I mean, granted, with how most of the Drawtectives already act, like, it's not that much of a stretch. But yeah, that's our last OC. Like I said, these four came out really good in different ways. I do think that Roxy and Mai Tide are probably the best of them. There are parts of Samurai that are good, but I would change. Also the same with Iris Strahd. Though if any of them, I would probably give the I'd probably give Samurai the most to change. But what did you think of them? Let me know in the comments along with other ideas I should try out. Super excited for Season 3. Hopefully this is coming out before the video releases, but it's hard to tell. I definitely want to do more OC and sort of original content in the future, and I think this was like a good first step. I think while I'm good at designing characters, I'm also bad at designing characters, and this is just some good practice. So, yeah, we'll figure out some more stuff like this in the future. But if you liked what you saw, then leave a like, and subscribe to join our growing little Arcane town, to be in the know for future videos, plans, and updates. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later!